Hey everybody, hey traders, Chris Pulver here. Happy Monday. This video is going out to all of the A1 Trading and Edgefinder Pulver Alerts members, looking at a little weekly outlook. I'm just going to go top down here for some of the best scores we have in the Edgefinder setups. So all I did was went to categories. I excluded indexes and bonds, and I just want to see what top down is for the best scores in the Edgefinder setup. So Euro Pound, best bullish trade setup. Best bearish trade setup would be a combination pound yen, pound dollar, pound Swiss, pound New Zealand. Not too shabby. I want to keep those in mind as I walk through some of the currency pairs today. Precious metals, I've been following gold and silver very closely. We still have a lot of volatility on copper right now. And then I think there's some good opportunities in the metal space as well. So let's talk. I mean, we're sitting here. It's July 28th. This week is a pretty big week in the markets. We have FOMC on Wednesday. We have 790 companies reporting earnings this week, including Mag 7, so Apple, Amazon, Meta, and Microsoft, and also MicroStrategy and Coinbase have earnings this week as well on Thursday. We have the tariff trade war, or the tariff deadline on August 1st, but I don't think that's as big of an event as it was just a couple weeks ago before Japan was in line, and before now I'm hearing that the Eurozone is in line as well. So there's some good faith deals going down right now between US and Eurozone, US and Japan, and I think the markets continue to kind of run with that momentum as we've hit all-time highs once again. The S&P reached another like 1.57% gain last week. I still think seasonality-wise we have to have a pause or pullback, so I want to talk about that. So minimum on some risk-off trading. I think SPX, I just printed another indicator here that shows overbought conditions with divergence on this daily time frame. Minimum pullback to me is going to be this 21 period and this 50 period moving average. If those get tested, that means we're coming back to recent all-time highs. Could that be enough to buy the dip? Of course, that's going to be somewhere between like a 2 to 5% dip in the markets. I think the retail crowd might be eager to buy. Okay, could it flush a little bit lower than that and scare? Sure, it could. But as long as the S&P stays above 5,700, above 5,800, this market is still a buy on dip, in my opinion. We'd have to have a pretty nasty move. I'd say we have to have, a high to low, a flush, a high to low, and then we'd have to breach this 5,700 without turning up. If we come down towards 5,800, 5,700, if we hold that level, I'm going back to the highs. That's what I'm going to be targeting. All right, but a little pullback here probably gets back to highs, maybe some consolidation through August, September. And if the market's going to continue to run with the animal spirits of Q4, and what happens usually in Q4 of pretty bullish years is the market finds a way to melt up and go higher. So I still think we're going to be facing or seeing all-time highs later in the year unless something drastically changes in this narrative. I did think about what that could be. If the trade deals are good in faith, but not in actual data, and we don't actually have trade deals, it's just we're talking about it, but all of a sudden Japan comes back and says, we're not going to do it to these terms. We want to change them. And Eurozone says, yeah, we want to do it in these terms too. And it's all this back and forth, and it sounds like it's worse instead of just being a deal that we can have like mutually beneficial on both sides. Instead, it's like back and forth and just more friction, more uncertainty. That might make the market not love it. The Fed right now. Jerome Powell is getting a lot of pressure from Donald Trump. And there could be a dissent this week in the Fed where not everyone's going to be in favor of pausing. Some people want to cut earlier. Some people want to cut more. I don't know how messy it gets. I just know that Jerome Powell has been pretty much, toe the line, be transparent, drip it into the markets, don't surprise anything. That's probably what's going to happen this week. I don't know, but there's all of the reasons to have some volatility this week. I think the markets are due for a top. I've been looking for some risk-off trading. Therefore, on the backside of this trend line, I have been looking to get long dollar, and this trade is working out pretty well. If you're long the dollar, it's looking better. I said I just can't bring myself to sell the dollar at these lows. I think the dollar has a room back into like 100 or back into like 101. There's lots of past support in here that could certainly become resistance. So I'd say the dollar can find a way higher, maybe get a bit of a risk-off tone between the bond market rallying and the dollar rallying here in the near term, maybe the next 30 to 60 days. This gets a little bit of a relief on the dollar, okay? And then we see how maybe the bears line back up and say, okay, dollar's had a good run, and now it's time to sell again for more of a sustained bear market in the dollar. But to get back to 100, to get back to 101, I could see the dollar pulling back, which means euro-dollar pullbacks, right? Euro-dollar pullbacks looking good today. This is the 50 period moving average. I could see this kind of same area. Do we pull back into the 50 and 100 zone? Do we pull back into the 50 into the 200 zone? I still think between like 112 and 110, I like this area to be long the euro dollar. If you want to get short, the euro dollar. I mean, this candle is a pretty monster candle. If you short it, maybe position 1, position 2, and then stop loss to make sure that price isn't closing above this high. I don't want to see price get above 118. So if I'm going to take the trade, there's downside potential, a little bit of risk on the trade, but if I scale into that, I can cut that risk. You know, trade 1, trade 2. I have risk here on trade 1, a little bit smaller risk on trade 2. But my profit potential is quite large on both of them combined. So I like the reward to risk scenario. I think a little bit of a bear flag on smaller time frames looks pretty good for this to kind of roll over a little bit and see if the dollar can catch a bit of a bid. Okay, so this DXY. If we go to, I'll go other currency here in just a moment. Let's go oil. Oil, pretty strong support at 65. I'm continuing to trade oil futures and try to stay out of the way, like $50 support levels, doing some option trading there. Gold and silver.
With Pulver Alerts, you get access to the complete log of all of Chris Pulver's trades. But who is Chris Pulver? Chris has over 20 years of trading experience and he's a licensed money manager. He trades all aspects of the market, including Forex, stocks, ETFs and futures, crypto, commodities, and just about everything else. Let's talk more about where you can find these trades. Inside of the A1 Trading Discord, on the left-hand side, you'll find Chris's section. It's broken up into different categories to make it easier to find the trades you're most interested in. Here, you can browse his trading journal, where he shares videos and general market analysis, his indice trades, commodity trades, Forex, stock and options, and his futures trades. All trades come with analysis, including entries and exits, risk to reward, and more. We're very excited for the future of Pulver Alerts, and we hope you are too.
Gold has had 4 days in a row to the downside. It still isn't doing any major damage on support. It's not taking out this 32.50 low. It's not taking out this 31.50 low. I still like the pullback towards the 144 to 200 moving average. I don't know what's going to get us there. You know, gold, if anything, looks like I mean, you can say that's the high, but we have resistance here, resistance here, resistance here, with what looks to be a pretty strong support level. So we have higher lows, okay, higher lows, and this is going to be a test. If we go down to this level and then back up, it's just going to coil, coil, coil. Now, I've been waiting for gold to try to hit this 144 to 200 moving average. If it doesn't get there, then we could just blow the top off and run this thing like an ascending wedge, which means we're making equal highs, we're making higher lows, but the momentum is still what got us there is this bullish trade. And I stay to the upside, right? That's what I'm watching for. So we'll see what it gives us, but if we have any decent dips, I mean, honestly, back to like 3,200, 3,100, I'm buying dips on gold. Back to this, 3,000 level, I'm buying a ton of gold. I do that with gold futures. I do that with GLD. I've got a lot of puts on GLD right now. Silver, I still like silver better. I really do. I think the technicals are great. If you look at the spot price, I've got a measured move here towards $41 on silver and a measured move near the all-time highs, which is around $48. All-time highs back in 2011, all-time highs in 1980. I think silver has a pretty good case, this year, next year, to be following just a run and pursuit to all-time highs. Bitcoin, hanging out here with a bit of a flag, has paused. We got MicroStrategy this week, which isn't going to move Bitcoin necessarily, but a flag pattern that goes higher. I think Bitcoin's still pretty bullish and looks pretty solid. If we get a pullback into like 112, 111, it's just a potential buy and dip. Look at the moving averages. If it pulls back to the moving averages, look to buy. Pulls back to the moving averages, looking to buy. Pulls back to the moving averages, looking to buy. Just stay with this dynamic support. I think that looks pretty good. Let's see, MicroStrategy up at 406. We were up as high as 457. We are pulling back, but still pretty well supported. Moving average support, maybe moving average support once again. If we get to all-time highs on MicroStrategy, that's fine. This did kind of get disconnected from Bitcoin, however, so it may not be able to get all the way back to these all-time highs unless Bitcoin makes a really strong run. I'd say above like 125 to 130, and then maybe we can start seeing MicroStrategy get back up to those 500 levels. Okay, so that's Bitcoin related. Let's go currencies. I mentioned copper. Copper's had a ridiculous amount of volatility. I'm staying out of copper. I like the technicals of it. I actually looked at a trade last week to try to sell it. I was going to try to sell copper up here, but it was such a backwards trade. I was like making $40 profit for a $500 risk. I'm like, that's a terrible trade. So it's just not good enough on the option chain in the futures market to take the trade I want. So I'm out. Let's go currencies. All the way down the watch list. Aussie CAD. this pair has been really boring, but right now the favor of interest rates goes to Australia. Australia is at 3.85, Canada's at 2.75. I prefer going long Aussie CAD, and it doesn't have to be much, but if you're looking at buying support or buying what I still have a pending order on is this 50618 fib. So I'm buying small, buying small, buying small, buying small. Okay. Anything that I hold bullish on this trade will get me like a slight positive carry. Nothing crazy, nothing to be excited about, but it's better than getting charged to hold this position. So I like long on Aussie CAD. Okay, I still think on the swing, if we pull back to this 382, you look at this high, you look at this high. My target is, let's get to this level, right? Target 1, let's get to this level, target 2. So if I can hold a long position and get to a slightly higher level, 91.50, 94.50, to me those are pretty good bullish targets to have. So I like Aussie CAD long. Aussie Swiss, if anybody's been with me the last couple years, you know I've been trading some Swiss crosses. I'm still long the Swiss. I'm still holding everything against the Swiss, except for the Swiss yen. That's the only one I'm not participating in. But Aussie Swiss, I'm long. I'm waiting. It's positive carry. CAD Swiss, I'm long. I'm waiting. It's positive carry. My break-evens are not that far away from current price. If gold takes a decent correction, if the central bank land starts to cut, like the U.S. starts to cut rates in September and December, maybe that makes the carry trade a little bit less attractive, so they could increase the volatility here, weaken the Swiss. Maybe. We'll see. But this has just gone nowhere. Since the April bottoms here, it's gone nowhere. So either this is a low high that's going to pull back and make its way back up to a third wave symmetry move, which is probably going to be somewhere in this area. So if we have a push up around 5,600 is a good target 1. If that's a fourth and fifth wave, probably talking like 59 to 6,000. I still want to hold Aussie Swiss for levels like that. I'm still willing to. Japanese yen. I don't love the Japanese yen. I don't really love the yen in general, unless I'm seeing something to like on Edge Finder, which yen pairs right now. CAD yen is fairly neutral. Euro yen neutral. Let's just go down to either extremes, right? Swiss yen is neutral, okay, versus the pound yen is bearish. So pound yen bearish looks pretty good. I want to take a look at that one because it's mostly driven by the pound, right? But Aussie yen right now, just follow what you see. I mean, the structure is we're above a bunch of moving averages. It's stacked positive. If we pull back and we go higher, we grind. I think the Aussie yen is also a pretty tight correlation to the S&P. If we get a dip in the S&P, Aussie yen's probably going to pull back. Okay, so don't call the bottom when it pulls back, but if we get a dip here and then all of a sudden that becomes a bounce off these moving averages, chance to go long, stop loss tight, try to get back to fresh highs, that's a good trend trade on something like the Aussie yen if it just stays in this posture. Okay, so all of the yen pairs, I'll just do a quick look here. So Aussie yen, CAD yen, same thing. As long as this trend line doesn't break. If we have this trend line here and the trend line doesn't break, a buy the dip, tight stop loss, go after fresh highs, you can get the reward to risk to be favorable, right? But you got to be paying attention and trading these on alignments, daily time frame down to a smaller time frame. Get the alignments in the entries if you like them. Swiss yen, choppy here at these all-time highs. This is another one that I'd love to see a topping pattern. To me, this looks like a potential swing trade. So if we go sideways here, let's say we go up, come back down, I'm going to short that thing. I think we have at least a pullback towards this high or this high, possibly coming all the way back down. That's a big possible. But even if we get like a topping pattern for a swing trade, you know, higher reward to lower risk, I still take that trade in Swiss yen. I just need to see a setup. Not ready yet. Other yen pairs, euro yen, you know, just off these recent all-time highs, I mean, not all-time highs, but just off these recent July highs of 2024, overbought conditions with divergence, really good indicator here. I think that if you're short euro yen, you know, stop loss above or stop loss above these highs, where does it go to? I don't know, take this swing and look at like a 30 to 38% pullback. That's it. Doesn't have to be a lot, doesn't have to be really greedy. Just go after what I think could be an overbought condition with a pullback. If it's going to grind higher, this is also, don't be surprised if the market just does this. Grind to the same highs. Then we put in a structure breakdown. Then we actually break this trend line. If you really want to short the euro yen, the best trade is wait for this trend line to break. Don't call the top here early. Wait for the trend line to break. All right, if we see a topping pattern, then we can start participating with more of a swing trade. And then you take the swing trade that turns into a sell high, and then take this thing all the way back down to 155. I love that trade. All right, Edge Finder had a great bearish setup on the pound yen. If it gives us a little bit of a nudge to the downside, I think this trade looks pretty clean back down to moving average support. So number one, if it looks like we have more of a risk-off trade, then you're trying to trade pound yen back down into this area. So this could potentially be a good setup where a little bit of confirmation goes a long way. If we're still kind of hanging out on the trend line here, hanging on the trend line, I just want to see a bit more nudge, a bit more confirmation to get into the pound yen short, if I like it. All right, let's talk some other pairs, not yen crosses. Aussie Swiss, I'm still long. Aussie New Zealand, I'm still long. Aussie dollar. If we get a play on the dollar where the dollar gets stronger, I can see the Aussie dollar pulling back. I like buying. I like the Aussie dollar pullback here. Pullback, get long. Stop loss is going to be below this low. So to me, this is a trade small, build a swing trade position, and see if we can get back to open space levels around 6,900 on the Aussie dollar. CAD Swiss sitting at lows. I'd love to see a bullish pattern emerge here. So if we can hold this low, get back up, maybe take out this high, some type of crown pattern or head and shoulders, 5-wave move, get back into this cluster. Give us something. You know, like Swiss has been a crazy basket these last couple of years, and fortunately it's positive swap, but I certainly don't like sitting in drawdowns longer than I have to be. So, all right, I'm going to go for a couple more minutes here. I want to keep these videos, pretty time sensitive. Any other setups that I really like? Euro Swiss, I'm still waiting to see if we can hold these lows at 92. Euro Pound was a really good setup in the Edge Finder. It's quite bullish, okay? In fact, it's bullish enough to me where I don't mind this trade right here. If I wanted to buy a dynamic support level, go into a smaller time frame, buy the support levels, but be willing to trade small enough where if I, let's say, bought here and this low and this low, okay, so trade small, I think we get back to the highs. So this is either going to be like a big range trade where we just kind of flush down a little bit lower, get back to the highs again, take some profit. I have a robot that does a lot of trading for me on the Euro Pound because it's a very low volatility currency pair. So even if this thing were to like trend lower, I mean, if you wanted to sell this, do I love selling this one? I mean, if you sold it, you'd have to stop loss right above the high. If it goes down, I look at this as we're making higher lows, we're making higher highs. So any pullback here is like dynamic support. I want to buy this thing nice and low, right? And that would go in line with what the Edge Finder shows, which is a bullish setup. So leveling in to be bullish, stop loss below 83.50, stop loss below 82.50 would be safe, I think. And just trade small and just make sure that risk makes sense where we have dynamic support, find a low, get back to the highs, find a low, get back to the highs, find a low, get back to the highs. Pretty good trade on Euro Pound. Euro New Zealand, I think this one turns south. I've been waiting for a decent pullback here from this high to low. We're probably right around that 50618 pullback zone. I think that's a good looking trade. Stop loss above, pretty tight risk, going after the lows. Pound New Zealand's another bear setup on Edge Finder. Right here, I was gonna say it's alright. If it was up at these equal highs, I love this trade if it was at equal highs. Unfortunately, it's already had a couple days to the downside, so I think that's a wait. If it comes down to here and it pops back up, you can have a low risk, high reward bullish trade. If it comes back to the highs, you can have a low risk, high reward bearish trade. So right now it's just a range trade. If you're buying low or selling high, you can stay in that range for right now. Pound dollar, we're finally getting that reversal pattern. This level, swing trade, looking for symmetry. We're probably pulling back to like 130 or so. So, I mean, again, if you're short this one, you're getting a push. This is kind of a good thrust. So if you're shorting, stop loss above, you're looking for a little bit of a symmetry pushed out down to like 32 or 3100. I wouldn't be super greedy. Getting a break even or better is good. And then a trailing stop loss into that 3000 handle. I think it's a pretty good trade on pound dollar. New Zealand CAD, I'm still long. I'm treating this one a lot like Aussie CAD. I'm holding long. Okay, rates. New Zealand is 3.25. Canada is still at 2.75. So a slight differential if you're holding this thing long. What levels do I like? Buying equal lows. And then my fibs. 50 to 618 zone. I'm buying fibs. These are pending orders. They've literally been pending since the dip in April. Didn't get it yet. So I'm looking to see if it just bounces here, heads higher. Bounces here, heads higher. But target 1, target 2. New Zealand CAD long. New Zealand dollar. If we get a pullback, high, low, lower, high, lower, low, or some type of, it's like an awkward channel right now. But if we pull back to like 58.50, I don't think this is a bad spot to be long. 58.50, trade open space. If we go area 1, come back to the lows, area 2, stop loss below the lows. I think this is a good one to dollar cost average in my opinion. Just looking to stay long. Okay, dollar CAD. We're just kind of sliding on the right hand side of the trend line. Be careful on this one. I think that this does look potentially good for a break back above like 139, but this is a tough spot to call the bottom. So if you're trading dollar CAD, maybe trading the lows here and trying to get a good entry if you want to use a stop loss and see if this goes back up to 139. Or if we're on the right-hand side of the trend line, buy small, be willing to buy this low and be willing to buy this low and even buy this low. Small, small, small. I think we get back to 139 for a profit target and potentially even up to 144 or 145 like we were before. This is just a huge range. If you zoom out of this chart, it's just a huge range. All the way back to 2020. Okay, so we've had a lot of range volatility these last couple of years on the dollar CAD. Stronger support comes in around like 1.3250, 1.3200. So it's a little difficult to call the bottom here. But if I take a stab at it and it goes up, I can make some money. If I take a stab at it, it goes down, I'm gonna dollar cost averaging a little bit more and then get it back to a break even or better on this position, but dollar cost averaging the low so I get paid. So I do like that structure on dollar CAD. Dollar Swiss, again, catching a bit of a bid. Let's see what happens on the right-hand side of the trend line. I've got to break even this one around 83. I'm trying to get this back to 85 or 86. So I want to be some profits here. This inefficiency between 86 and 8,700. But I want to see if a bottoming pattern comes in on the right side of the trend line. Dollar yen, pushing its way up. Let's see what happens. I mean, this July to August structure from 2024 is still valid. This looks like a big channel. And is it possible that we just stay in this channel? Yep. It's very possible, but this level and this level obviously would be potential resistance, and then sell the heck out of this thing if it's a range. It could just be one big range of resistance and all the way down to support. If it happens earlier than that, we don't get back to the tops, then this to me still is a head and shoulders. Left shoulder, head to neckline, right shoulder. If we break that 140, nice part is we're going to 120. That's a trade to get excited about. It's not confirmed yet, but if we get this thing lined up for a 2,000 pip breakout, I'm all about it. So, all right. That should do it for a little weekly watch list. I'm looking for a pullback in the indexes. We have a lot of earnings this week. FOMC. Come join Nick and myself in the trading battle this week. It'll be a lot of fun on Wednesday. He's hosting, I'm trading. And let's get some good trades. All right. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.
Did you know we do a live trading show Monday through Friday with guests from all over the world? To get notified when we go live, click the bell button next to the subscribe button or check in at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We have helpful, free content in the description below and on our website, a1trading.com. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you tomorrow.